Hello, hello. Good morning. I would like to call on stage Dr. Pradeep Mitra to talk on medical ethics.
তোমরাও দেবে ওটাই Very good morning to all of you. Uh, Actually, I'm starting the session with ethics in clinical research. This is my old slide, so it must be ex-director or former director, but the first slide is written as director. No, I'm not presently director, but it's an old slide I've bought. Anyway, it's not moving. Yes, not moving? Yes. So I'll start. I have picked up SH in clinical research only because ethics is a very big area. So, so many scopes under the ethics. So in this small, only 20, 25 minutes, I can cover only one particular area. So I have picked up ethics in clinical research. So I propose to discuss what is ethics, why ethics in clinical trials, some historical perspective, some principles, some case studies and complexities and way forward. So this I have thought of. So what ethics? What is the meaning of ethics? The ethics derived from the Greek word that is the ethos, which means character, custom, or character. So ethics is a systemic study of the values so as to decide what is right or what is wrong. Ethical dilemma, we have to select always what is right and what is wrong. So this is the main point in the basis of the ethics. And it deals with the subject of values, principles, beliefs, all these things, they come under ethics. Values, principles, beliefs, and all that. Definitely it is not a natural science, it is a creation of the human mind. So what is the difference between ethics and these, rules, regulations, or laws? Actually, the law, it covers it is from the outside, but ethics is from the inside of the mind. And it is open to influence in time, space, and situation. It varies. It may be ethical now, but it may not be ethical after some time, after some years, according to the situation. Right. So human subject research, I picked up the particular area I told you, only clinical research. So research is a systemic investigation that can either research or clinically oriented and involves the use of human subject in any capacity of the human subject. So requirements are like that. It minimize, why this? The minimize the possibility of exploitation. I'll show you later on how it was going on for a long time about the exploitation on the subjects who are the subjects on the clinical research. And definitely ensure rights and welfare of the subject. Right. I have jotted down some of the historical, years and happenings, how ethics came into practice. First is the Nuremberg Code, then the Helsinki Declaration, then US Code, National Research, Belmont Report, and ICMR guidelines. These are in chronology. All of you know this tragedy of thalidomide, phocomelia. Of course, the drug which caused the thalidomide, it has come again in the market in a bigger way in the anti-cancer drugs. But that was not ethically, research was not done. That's why all this catastrophe happened. In Nuremberg trial, 1945 to 47, you see a victim immersed in icy water in Dachau concentration camp in Germany, without any permission, without any consent, without any knowledge of the subject. The experiments were done on them. That is an amount of torture. So in 45 to 47, Nuremberg trial was done. 23 physicians in the dock during the trial, they were undergone trial. So Nazi experiment, you all know that all these experimental things have been done on the subject, and experimental starvation, induced gangrene, low barometric pressure, they were exposed, patients were exposed. Not patients, subjects were exposed. Induced hypothermia was done, or induced burns and wounds to see the effect, pathological changes, all these things. So then the trial, characteristics of the trial is that conducted without the consent of the participant. These points came out that cause unnecessary pain and suffering and even death of the subject, absence of any benefit to the participants, and lack of adequate scientific rationale also. So how these trials were going on. So then the code is set on the research ethics, principles, experiments, human experiments, and the subsequent to the Nuremberg trials, around the end of the Second World War, 10 points were done. The most important was that the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely necessary. So of the many points, this is the most important point, that the consent of the subject which is done. Then the Helsinki Declaration came. They adopted that 18th World Medical Assembly, 1964. So it is some relaxation in the condition of the consent was done in that Helsinki Declaration. And sometimes consent is not possible in a very dying patient or that there are some relaxation in the nature of the consent, and introduce the concept of oversight by an independent committee or ethics committee. Now you have seen in most of the institution which is in practice, in this institutional ethics committee or independent ethics committee. Right. Then Helsinki Declaration, all protocols must be submitted to the ethics committee for review, which must be independent of the investigator, sponsor, or any kind of undue influence. These 3 points, this is to alleviate the biasness, investigator, sponsor, and any influence must be avoided. That's why in the institution ethics committee also, the chairman of the committee must not be a member of that particular institution. He must be from outside the institution. Belmont report, in that, Tuskegee syphilis study, this is a horrible study, how they have been done. You see 300, every point is important, 399 black male. Mind that, black. Only the study was done on the black. Thought to have syphilis were recruited and followed to determine the course of the disease. Penicillin was known to be effective in the treatment since 1947, and they have not been offered the minimum medicine, and they have been allowed to continue without medicine to know the natural course of the disease. And the subjects were not informed what was being studied, and of the treatment alternatives available. So how things were there. So in this, it came out that respect for the person, beneficence and justice, these 3 points must be there in the ethics understanding. Guidelines, India definitely has got strong guidelines. ICMR, they used to update the year-wise, not in every year, but they are time to time. And every clinical trial program should be reviewed by an ethics committee. Even initial review of the proposed research protocols that must be done, then regular monitoring of the, even the cleared projects which have been cleared, they should be monitored by the ethics committee. Can be constituted by the institute where research is done independent, multidisciplinary. There must be a lot of, later on I will show just the structure of the ethics committee where how many persons should be kept. Multidisciplinary and multi-sectoral. Nowadays, GCP has come out and NMC also have introduced that all the teaching faculty and doctors must pass to the good, or everything good clinical practice, good laboratory practice, whatever. Everywhere it is the GCP, GLP, all this development, they are guided by the CDS CO, and this, all this you see. I am not going to the proper record keeping, quality assurance, everything must be there. Statistics to be maintained, right? Right. So why ethics? Already by this way, you have understood that experiments, clinical trials, these ethics, because of the motto is to give beneficiary to the patient or the subjects, and there must be, if you weigh, there must be the positive towards the benefit over the risk. Benefit must be more than the risk. So justice, respect to the for the persons and beneficence and non-maleficence. These are the same. Now, how do you balance? Minimize the risk and maximize the benefit. So by this way, it will swing towards the benefit. So minimize the risk and maximize the benefits. Human subject or tests, all the tests only should be done if it is absolutely necessary. But does all current research certify the drug is safe? Some non-exploitation, there are some categories like some remuneration to the subject, inform subjects about all potential side effects and risks, ensure ample compensation for accidental injury. Now, because of the ample compensation, it is streamlined. There are scale. We, the chairman of the different ethics committee, we are safe now because we don't have to calculate the risk. There are some scales. If this is one leg is done, this much of percentage of compensation, they have totally structured it. So it is easy. So every compensation, and whenever we go through any sponsored trials, we first see what is the benefit of the patient, whether they are properly remunerated, the conveyance, travel, whether it is given or not to the subjects. All these we used to see. Privacy and confidentiality. Inform subjects about the extent to which the personal information would be disclosed, and also it should not divulge the identity and records of the test subjects as much as possible, and information should not be provided to allow identity to be guessed also. Right. So balancing principles need for rigorous design. So equipoise, randomized trial, choice of there are different types of trial. I'm not going to the details of it, but randomized control trial is the commonest trial. Choice of control, definitely benefit, risk, burden, effectiveness of the new method, balanced on all this, the control subjects are taken. You see, I am going through it hurriedly because I want to cut short within 20 minutes so that 10 minutes time can be saved. Transparency and accountability. No aspect of the study should be hidden except for privacy reason. And prior disclosure, I told you all the conflict of interest should be disclosed. Maintain permanent record of all research data and notes. And that should be kept for years together. Even if the study is completed, the record should be kept for years together. Fixed responsibility for the study and its outcome. But the funny thing is that very difficult that all the responsibility passed up on the first hand goes to the chairman of the ethics committee. So it's very difficult. So now I am thinking of to resign from the chairman of the different committees and be a member of the committee. Burden of proof is always with those who conduct the trial. Distributive justice, you see in this heading we have given you the genetic research should not lead to racial inequality. This is very important. And do not conduct research on economically weak section to create advantage for those that are better off. Sometimes, studies are done in African countries or previously in India also, and after the drug is gone through, then those benefits, those drugs are used in the developed country, not available in the country where actual research has been undertaken. So this should not be. Do not enroll people at a disadvantage in the study, like, clearly it is mentioned prisoners, students, subordinate employees, but they're bound to. They cannot ignore. That is almost an order. You enroll in the study. This is an order, so they cannot, ignore. So this should not be done. Ensure complete freedom of choice when they are enrolled. Patient right, definitely. The use in the country after approval, just now I told you, the drug is marketed only in the affluent countries. Just now I give an example, the drug in the developed country used, but not used where it has studied. And insist on drug would be really released in India also as a price that is reasonable, at a reasonable price also. Because the company may say, our sponsor may say that it has made available, but in such a price it is not accessible. So that is not. Then vulnerability of the patient in a trial, money paid, health care of the family, free medicines at the hospital, diagnostic tests should not be charged for the diagnostic test, counter of the cardinal principle of the autonomy, not be compelled or unfairly, entitled to participate. Actually, free choice, whether there is free choice is there or not, you must ensure. Use of placebo, this is very important. Unethical to give a placebo to a group. Nowadays it is not done. Where there is available medicine, you cannot make study using the placebo. No role for a placebo in condition which there is already effective drug is there. So bioequivalence study in that case may be done, or superiority, non-superiority, superiority like that, but not the, with placebo where the drug is available. Then pregnant and nursing women, only research for betterment of the health of them, nursing women, pregnant fetus or infants. And there is no risk of the fetus or infant. That was not considered. That's why Focovilla developed, in the previous study. Special groups must be considered, that only trials for the drugs to improve children health, in case of children. But definitely there are exceptions. There are some diseases which occur only in children. So in those cases, the adult study may not be done. Only directly children may be given the drug. Consent from the parent or legal guardian, and consent from the child in case of mature minor or adolescents. That is also important. Informed consent process, nowadays, in any thesis, if you are going through the thesis of the students also, or any minimum study, informed consent, nowadays not only informed consent, it must be videographed in written consent. Informed consent means verbal consent has got no role. it must be written informed consent, and also it must be videographed. And the institutional ethics committee must be constituted. This is the informed consent matter. And this point is very important. Once the patient is enrolled, and patient subject, repeatedly I'm telling the patient, not always patient, subject is enrolled, but he has been remunerated. If he leaves the study, he has every liberty to leave the study anytime. And the remuneration which has been given, that should not be demanded for return of that remuneration. All these benefits must be given. Then getting informed consent in some countries, developing countries, is very difficult. 30% of each consented after full or partial disclosure. Actually, this is also true. If you give all the details of the side effects or adverse drug, then nobody will participate in the trial. And this ethics committee, this is the constitution. I told you the minimum constitution, 1 to 2 basic, 1 chairman, preferably for outside the institution, 1 to 2 basic medical scientists, clinicians, legal experts, social science, philosopher, layperson, member secretary must be from the institution proper. And layperson is very difficult to define layperson. Who is the layperson? That is not clear, but definitely not related to that particular area or subject, maybe taken as layperson. Layperson doesn't mean always uneducated person. Doesn't mean that. And in the meeting of the ethics committee, legal expert and social scientists must be present, and layperson, they must be present. Whenever chairperson, secretary, clinicians, everybody present, but they are not present, then it is not valid. Anyway, this is in short about the research, ethics in medical research. Thank you. দেখো 5 মিনিট 7 মিনিট বাঁচিয়েছি 7 মিনিট বাঁচিয়ে দিয়েছি হ্যাঁ থ্যাংক ইউ আবার কি
Good morning, everybody. We'll start the session for today, and for today, the coordinators of the entire program, not only for today and for tomorrow, are Dr. Abhishek Mukherjee. Slide, please. Dr. Kanika Gupta Poddar, Dr. Shimantini Patro Banerjee, Dr. Shumeda De, Dr. Moitrey Shaha, Dr. Mandeep Bedi, and Dr. Ucho Gorai. Next slides.
Good morning. On behalf of CAP, I welcome you all to CAPCON 2024, a conference on autoimmunity and vasculitis. CAP, Calcutta Association of Practicing Pathologists. It is a 3-decade-old organization of lab professionals, pathologists, microbiologists, biochemists, and hematologists who are attached to various private hospitals and diagnostic labs of Kolkata. CAP has more than 200 members and is engaged in various academic activities, holding CMEs, conference, workshops, quality assurance programs, and good clinical laboratory practices. It is a privilege for me to see such a distinguished gathering of experts, researchers, and healthcare professionals dedicated to advancing our understanding of these complex diseases. Autoimmunity and vasculitis present significant challenges in clinical practice and research. They affect millions worldwide, often causing profound impact on the patients' lives. However, our knowledge on this topic is limited, and not many academic sessions have occurred in Eastern India on this topic. So this conference was organized with the aim to provide a crucial platform to exchange knowledge, share innovative research, and explore cutting-edge experiments. Throughout our session, we aim to delve into the intricate mechanisms underlying the autoimmune diseases and vasculitis. I encourage all of you to engage actively, challenge perspectives, and forge new collaborations that will shape the future of autoimmune and vasculitic diseases. Thank you for your dedication and participation. Here's to a productive and enlightening conference ahead. With this, I call upon our patrons, Dr. Rajat Mukherjee, Dr. Mala Banerjee, Dr. Pradeep Mitra, Colonel Dr. Deepak Mishra, Dr. Shravasti Roy, Dr. Jyoti Chaudhary, and Dr. Utpal Goswami on stage for lamp lighting.
Why is it not boarding? And you've called so many people. How many shikhas are there? A photo कौन ले रहा है? Photo.
Hello, hi.
या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा
যাও মাঝে ম্যাডাম মাঝে আপ কণিকা বলে দাও
এই যে একটা এই নাও এই নাও Kanika, now souvenir unveiling. Copies are available.
অনলাইন
Now we unveil the souvenirs and the copies are available online.
স্টেজে না
এবার নেমে পড়ো we are running late চলো
हाँ, बहुत carefully. Good morning. How are you? I invite on stage Ms. Shubhra Dhar, our organizing chairperson, to say a few words.
A very good morning to all delegates, esteemed faculty, respected seniors, friends and colleagues. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to CapCon 2024, based on the theme of autoimmunity and vasculitis. The last CapCon conference happened in 2020, and the other day I was joking in the group that I know what it means to be grazed in the ear by a bullet before Trump, because the conference happened and soon after, the lockdown also happened due to COVID. Autoimmunity is on the rise in today's society. Our genes have remained the same for the last 70 years, but environment has changed drastically. The organizing team of CapCon 2024 have stitched together a beautiful program involving experts in multi-speciality fields to enable a lot of learning in the field of autoimmunity and vasculitis. I welcome you all to savor the academic feast. Thank you.
I invite on stage the chairpersons for our next session, Dr. Mala Banerjee and Dr. Shravasti Roy. Our next session is a talk by our supporting partner, Sysmex, on malaria detection in XN 1000 by Dr. Abhiroop Shorkar. Our chairpersons, Dr. Mala Banerjee and Dr. Shravasti Roy. Dr. Abhiroop Shorkar.
Dr. Abhiroop, I now invite on stage Dr. Abhiroop Sharkar.
May I start? So thank you, everyone. So I'll take like 10 minutes for this topic. Sysmex XN scatter plots for malaria detection. So Sysmex XN series hematology analyzer, I think it is one of the most popular equipment in hematology. It is used worldwide, so there can be many, I think, XN users here also who maybe get some interest from it. So how we can use it in a very common condition like malaria. So let's start. Okay, so the parasitized RBCs, they behave like a WBCs. So that is the basic principle. Utilizing that, we can use any hematology analyzer basically to detect malaria if we know how it works. So basically all these equipment are designed in Western countries, they don't care about malaria. So basically in India, we have to use some jugaad or something to basically find a way to detect malaria from the hematology analyzer, because we get hundreds of samples in our lab for CBCs. Often we can detect malaria in many unsuspected cases also through those hematology analyzers. So today I will be focusing on Sysmex XN. So these are the Sysmex XN series analyzers. So we'll get into deep in this, how we can analyze the scatter plots and identify malaria. So first we have to understand how it actually works. So I'll go slightly in deep on the mechanism, how it works. So this is a basically flow cytometry based techniques, how to differentiate different WBCs. So they are divided in 3 steps. The first step is it will obviously lyse the RBCs. The second stage, it will basically do a fluorescence staining of the WBCs. These are intracellular stains that will stain the nucleic acids. Nucleic acid means it will stain both the DNAs and RNAs in the WBCs. And then it will do a flow cytometry. So there will be 3 signals. Of course, there will be a forward scatter, there will be a side scatter, and there will be side fluorescence that is due to that in intracellular fluorescence staining that we have done in the step 2. So if we go in detail of the steps, so the first step is lysing the RBCs. So in XN series hematology analyzer, it is done in 2 independent channels. They work in 2 independent way. So there are called WNR channels and WDF channels. So in WNR channels, they are using a different lysing agent. So we'll go why this is very important. In WNR channel, they are using a much stronger lysing agent that have a pH around 3. So, and the osmolarity is very low, so they will give some drastic morphological changes to the WBCs and also the parasitized RBCs. And in WDF channel, it is moderate, and it has a pH of around 6 and slightly higher osmolarity, and it will impart some amount of morphological changes in the WBCs. And both of them will always lyse all the RBCs except the parasitized RBCs, that is the malaria parasite. So now if we go to the step 2, what it does, it stains the WBCs with a fluorescent stain. The stains will, they are different in both the channels, but they will do basically the same thing. They will dye the RNA and DNA content of the WBC. So when the chromatin is more opened up, it will be there will be more dye binding in the DNA. And if the cell is doing more protein synthesis, there can be more RNA synthesized at that moment, and so there will be more dye binding. So in those cases, the SFL signal, obviously, the fluorescent signal will be higher for that particular cell. So if we then go to the start stage, it is basically flow cytometry. We'll give a forward scatter that will indicate the size of the cell, side scatter, that is the internal complexity of the cell or the cell granulation, and the side fluorescence that basically denotes how much it has been, how much is the DNA and RNA content of the cell, because the stain is specifically binding to the nucleic acids. Now, they are done independently on both WDF and WNR channel. So when we get the data, we'll basically get, we can take the data from the individual channels, and if we plot a 2D plots, so if we take a side scatter and forward scatter, it would be a side scatter versus forward scatter. And for WDF channel 3, there can be 3 different